Hi everybody, I'm Jaime K, and this is Save the Kales, a show where we teach you how to live a healthy, sustainable lifestyle while cooking up delicious and budget-friendly plant-based meals. Today, we're going to demystify tofu. Who knew that a food made out of a bean could be so confusing to some people? So join us as we go to a tofu factory here in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and then come back to our kitchen to make some delicious meals. When you think of manufacturing in the Lehigh Valley, you think of Bethlehem Steel and Mack trucks. But did you know that organic, fresh tofu is made right here in Allentown? Join me as we go inside the Fresh Tofu Factory. Come on. We're here with Gary Abramowitz, the president of Fresh Tofu here in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So Gary, you're going to take us on a tour of your factory, but what I want to ask first is, you could have a Tupperware factory, a toothpaste factory, you have a tofu factory. So how did you get into the tofu business?
Well, I was a vegetarian and became interested in cooking. And my first venture was back in 1978. I did a vegan lunch truck at Rutgers College called Walk and Roll. From that, I progressed into a restaurant situation in Morristown, New Jersey, High Street Cafe. Did that for several years, and at that time met someone who was opening a tofu factory in Easton, Pennsylvania, and that was back in 1983. I ended up joining forces with this gentleman, later bought him out. And that was the beginning of it. It was something that I was always cooking with and always interested in, and it just turned into a 30-year profession.
It's awesome. It's a great story. So a tofu in its basic form, its root form, if you will, is a soybean, right? That's how they start?
It's a soy product, yes.
Okay. So if you were going to walk us through start to finish, I saw you had some huge bags of soybeans out in your factory. So tell us how we get started.
Tofu starts with the soybean. We get our soybeans from farmers in upstate New York. They've been organic farmers for many, many years. To begin the process, we put the soybeans in this grain elevator, which goes up and over into our tofu production area. This is the pulp of the soybean that is part of the process. It's a byproduct. We use it, we give it to dairy farmers, organic dairy farmers who use it to feed their cows. We have tons of it a day, and the farmers are very happy to have it for their feed.
Well, we're back here with a couple of your finished products. You have things like, here's that baked tofu you were talking about. It's seasoned too, right? It's got some kind of sauce in there.
Oh yeah, it's marinated in ginger and garlic.
So it's a local product being sold locally.
Sure, and that was one of the main ideas of fresh tofu. obviously the name Fresh Tofu, we wanted to supply just a niche regional market with a truly fresh product. By situating ourselves in Lehigh Valley gave us a huge marketplace between New York City, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, and the New Jersey market, which is a huge, huge marketplace, and it enables us to get stuff made one day in the store the next.
That's awesome.
And the soybeans are also sourced as locally as possible, and that's one of the mission statements for Fresh Tofu.
So you've been doing local, organic, sustainable long before these were catchphrases in anybody's vocabulary.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a very respectable thing.
Pioneer, a pioneer.
A pioneer, a tofu pioneer. I like that. That's your new title, President and Tofu Pioneer. So, well, thank you so much, Gary.
Sure.
I appreciate it. This was an awesome tour. You guys are doing great work here. We're gonna try some of this, and we're gonna take some of Gary's tofu back to our kitchen where we're gonna make a few dishes, so stay tuned.
Visit us where Lehigh Valley Mirror began, online at lvmirror.com. Check out our archive of fun and exciting videos about area restaurants, shops, events, local happenings, and more. See what's coming up on our calendar page, and read our fun weekly comic strip. Also, see exclusive content that's not in the show at lvmirror.com. It reflects us. Would you like to advertise with us on Save the Kales? Reach a television audience of more than 105,000 households and a huge online following. Maximize your ad potential for a much lower rate than you think. Call 610-435-1864 or email postsputnik@postsputnik.com to learn more about this great advertising opportunity.
Well, we just got back from hanging out with our new friend Gary at Fresh Tofu in Allentown, and he supplied us with some of the ingredients for our dishes today. So thanks, Gary. This dish is going to be a very simple pizza dish, but it's going to be a little different than a pizza that you might be used to. It's actually going to be served at room temperature or even a little chilled. It's not going to have any tomato sauce. What we're going to do is make a really, really tasty basil and garlic ricotta cheese, but it's going to be made out of tofu, so totally dairy-free. So to get this started, we're going to take a block of tofu and cut it open. And there will probably be some water in it that you'll need to just drain out over your sink, and then come back and put it on a towel. Okay, so here's our block of tofu. Now, whenever you have tofu, and this is just like a firm tofu or an extra firm tofu, you want to get a designated tofu towel. And the tofu towel is what you're going to use to press all of the water out. Now, tofu doesn't really taste like much on its own, but that actually works really great for a lot of ingredients because it's going to pick up the flavors of whatever you mix it with. So in this case, it's going to taste like basil and garlic. It's going to have kind of a cheesy taste from the nutritional yeast that we're going to use and be really delicious. We're going to take that whole block of tofu and just kind of crumble it up and put it in the food processor. All right, now, one whole bunch of fresh basil. Pull those leaves off and throw them in there. And if you don't like basil that much, you can always try using another herb. And this is gonna make an awful lot. So you can save it, whatever you don't use for your pizzas, and use it on pasta. You can use it as a topping if you make a soup. Put a little dollop of it in there. You know, just put it on some bread, on some toast, and eat it that way. It's really delicious. And if you do like basil, then you're gonna love this dish. All right. Now we're going to take some fresh garlic cloves, and fresh garlic is delicious, but it can be really strong. So, you know, add it to taste. I'm going to add probably 3 cloves to this amount. So that's 3 cloves. Give them a rough chop, maybe just into 2 or 3 pieces apiece, so that they can get blended into the food processor a little bit easier. All right. Now we're going to use the juice of half of a lemon. There we go. All right, we're going to save that other half for a little bit later. And now some nutritional yeast. Let's talk about nutritional yeast for just a second. So nutritional yeast actually has a really cheesy flavor. You can use it simply as you would use something like a Parmesan cheese and just sprinkle it on top of pasta or on top of popcorn. We're gonna add it to this, this vegan ricotta cheese dish, and that's gonna give it even more of a cheesy flavor along with the texture of the tofu. So we're gonna put in about half a cup, and we can always add a little bit more if you want. You can't really use too much of this stuff, it's so good. All right, so that's pretty much everything. A little bit of salt, it's just some sea salt, and we'll put in a little bit of olive oil to help move things along. And this is gonna be the base of our pizza. Okay, and I'm just gonna add a little more olive oil. We can make it a little bit more wet. And it already smells really good. Okay, so that is all done, and it's going to be kind of a yellowy green color because of all the ingredients that we put in there. If you have a tofu that has a little bit more water in it, this is going to be more creamy. It's probably going to be a brighter green, and that's okay. It's still going to taste delicious. So we'll just add that to a mixing bowl here. Okay. So that's all ready to go. And at this point, again, you can use this in something like a lasagna. There are so many ways to use this and add flavors as you want to, but this is just a nice basic recipe that's really garlicky and cheesy and basil-y. It's really delicious. So put that aside. Before we started today, I actually cooked the pizza dough already. And instead of making one big pizza, which can sometimes be a little overwhelming if you don't have a pizza oven with a pizza stone and all of those things, it can be easier just to make small pizzas. Now you can find easy recipes for dough in cookbooks or online. So what I have here are 4 little dough rounds, well, kind of rounds. They're a little misshapen, but I think that gives them character. And so we're gonna put these on a platter and build our pizzas. So this dough made 4 personal size pizzas. And we're gonna take that mixture and just spread it on top. So once you get the vegan cheese spread on top of all of the pizzas, we're just about ready to go. I told you guys this was going to be a really easy recipe. So let's see. Next we're going to drizzle a little bit more olive oil on top. There we go. And now it starts looking really fancy, even though we're not really doing anything that complicated. And this is some fresh arugula. And arugula is a really delicious green. You can find it a lot of times in salads, but it has a really peppery taste. So there's a little bit of a bite to it. And we're gonna put this on top of the pizza just as it is. We're not gonna cook it, we're gonna leave it raw. It's gonna taste delicious. Okay, so we have some arugula on top. And we're gonna squeeze a little bit more fresh lemon juice on there. And when you serve this, you can actually serve it with some lemon wedge on the side, and your guests can squeeze their own lemon juice on top. And now we're gonna hit it with a little bit more salt and a little bit of black pepper. And if you've ever wondered why when you watch cooking shows, people take the salt from these containers and do it, drop it from up top like this, it's not just because it looks good. It actually, by letting go of the salt up high, it helps it spread more evenly over the food. So you're not just dropping a big plop of salt on top of your dish in one spot. So let's hit some black pepper on there. All right, that looks so good. And so we are actually Done. How simple was that? Especially if you have the tofu dish already mixed and you have your pizza doughs ready to go, you can literally throw this together in under 5 minutes. So stay tuned as we make our second, slightly more complicated dish, yet still incredibly easy and budget friendly after this.
This month on Lehigh Valley Mirror, we explore our local alternative sports scene. Check out the one-of-a-kind sports that show off the uniqueness of the people who call Lehigh Valley home. Tune in to the show on RCN 4, Digital 1004 in the Lehigh Valley, and RCN 8, Digital 608 in the Delaware Valley. Lehigh Valley Mirror. See it, live it.
Hey guys, welcome back to the kitchen. We're gonna make our second dish of the day, and this is going to be a basic tofu scramble. Now, tofu scramble is an essential part of your diet if you are eating a vegan plant-based diet because they are so versatile and they're so good. They keep well in the fridge. You can use them for just about anything. So today I'm gonna make a basic tofu scramble. This is a variation on a recipe that I make just about every single Sunday for brunch. So we're gonna start once again with our block of tofu, slice it up, and press all of the water out. This is one block of a firm or an extra firm tofu. And now we're gonna chop the vegetables that we're gonna use so everything is ready to go. We're gonna start with a basic onion and olive oil saute to bring some flavor in. So I have 2 small onions. You can use 1 medium size yellow onion or white onion. And then we're also gonna use some peppers. I'm gonna use half of a red pepper, half of a green pepper, and we're gonna use some mushrooms. Now, if you don't like any of these things, leave them out and substitute something else. But that's what we're gonna use today. So let's get all of these chopped up into fairly small uniform pieces, and we'll set them aside. A really simple way to chop peppers, I'm gonna show you right now. Cut off the end. I should say cut off both ends. Okay, so now you have this kind of see-through area, and just go through and scoop out the middle. And now look, it's beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna slice it down the one side, and it kind of rolls out into this long, flat sheet of pepper. And so now it's gonna be really easy to dice this up either into long strips or whatever you need to do with it. But we're just gonna cut it into small dices. Vegetables chopped. We have onions, peppers, mushrooms ready to go. Our tofu is pressed and looking pretty good. And we're gonna take all of this over to the stove and start to make our scramble. We're about to start cooking our tofu scramble. So we put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. And now we're gonna add in first our chopped onion and let that saute a little bit. We're gonna let that go for about 3 minutes just to start turning a little translucent. All right, next we're gonna add some of our chopped mushrooms. We'll add all of our chopped mushrooms. There we go. And stir those through, and that's gonna make them a little chewier, actually a little meatier in texture once we get them sauteing with the onion and olive oil. All right, and once the mushrooms have been in there for another 2 or 3 minutes, we will add our peppers. All right, now let everything cook for about 3 or 4 minutes. We don't want the peppers to be completely soggy and lose all of their water. That already smells really good. So once all of our vegetables are cooked to the right consistency, we're going to take our tofu and actually just use our hands to crumble it into the pan as well. And we're going to season it with a couple things, but especially this turmeric. Now, turmeric is really good for you, but it also turns everything yellow, which is a positive thing in this case because it's going to end up looking like scrambled eggs. All right, I think we're ready to start crumbling our tofu in. So use your clean hands and just grab it and crumble it in like that. And we're going to do that with the whole block. We're gonna add this Bragg's liquid aminos, which is like a tamari sauce or a soy sauce, a little healthier for you. And it's gonna be about 2 or 3 tablespoons, just enough to give a little moisture back to the tofu and some flavor to the vegetables. Everything's steaming up now. That looks really good. All right, so now we're gonna add a little bit of garlic powder, about 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of turmeric. And I guess this is about a tablespoon or 2 of dried basil. And you can play with those measurements. The turmeric, basically you want it to be yellow. And the final ingredient, once again, of course, has to be some nutritional yeast because that's gonna, again, give it that really cheesy, delicious flavor. So this is gonna be, we'll start with about 1/4 of a cup up to 1/2 of a cup, however much you wanna add. And once we add the nutritional yeast, that's gonna kind of dry it out a little bit, so it's not gonna be very wet. It's just gonna have the texture like scrambled eggs. All right, and we can season with a little salt and pepper, and this is ready to go. Here we go. This looks so good, our breakfast tofu scramble. And we're probably gonna serve this with maybe a little avocado on top. You can serve this with some black beans and some sweet potatoes. There we go. Oh guys, and it smells so good too. All right, well my friend Johnny is on his way over right now to help me eat all of this food, so check back in just a minute.
Would you like to advertise with us on Save the Kales? Reach a television audience of more than 105,000 households and a huge online following. Maximize your ad potential for a much lower rate than you think. Call 610-435-1864 or email postsputnik@postsputnik.com to learn more about this great advertising opportunity. Visit us where Lehigh Valley Mirror began, online at lvmirror.com. Check out our archive of fun and exciting videos about area restaurants, shops, events, local happenings, and more. See what's coming up on our calendar page and read our fun weekly comic strip. Also, see exclusive content that's not in the show at lvmirror.com. It reflects us.
Hi everybody, we are finished with our delicious tofu dishes, and I'm here with my friend Johnny G.
Hello.
And Johnny G writes the blog Johnny Sized, and that's actually, it's a really interesting blog because you switched to a plant-based vegan diet, what, 4 months ago?
That's right.
And what caused the switch?
Well, about 7 months ago, I got very sick and I had a bad infection, and I went to the doctor, and I hadn't really been taking care of myself for a long time and was not eating healthy. And the doctor said, you need to get slim and trim unless you want to fight this thing forever. So after being on meds for over 5 months, I decided it was time to make a change.
And did you find that it was difficult? I mean, had you ever had vegan food before in your life before this happened? I had
gone vegan for a little bit, for a very short time, just to test it out a few years ago. But this time it was easier because I think when your health is on the line, it's a lot easier to make a switch.
And how are you feeling now? I mean, 4 months in, you know, people would probably want to know, have you lost weight? Are you still on all your medications?
Yeah, I'm off my meds and staying healthy for the moment, and hopefully that'll continue. And I lost 60 pounds so far, and long way to go, but the energy, that's the biggest difference. The energy.
Let's have a high five for that, buddy.
All right.
That's awesome. All right, well, what we have today is a basil garlic ricotta style pizza made with tofu with some arugula on top. We're gonna squeeze a little fresh lemon juice on there for you and hit it with some black pepper. So we're gonna try this pizza, and this is eaten like cold or at room temperature. And then over here is a brunch favorite. This is a tofu scramble, which would be in the place of scrambled eggs.
Oh, that's perfect. You know, because eating like this, I've really been wanting eggs, and I haven't had them, so this is like perfect.
We got it covered. We'll take care of you today. So let me cut this, and we can try some of this right now. So there's some pizza. Ah, thanks. All right, and we'll give you a little of this too. Yeah, this stuff is great, and you can, you know, you can put this in burritos. You can make a huge amount and then just keep it in your fridge all week, and so you can have it, you know, with maybe some vegan mayonnaise on a sandwich, like an egg salad sandwich. You can put it on top of a salad. Yeah, anything that you would use some kind of chopped eggs for, you can use with this.
It smells fantastic.
What do you think? Grab a fork. We'll give it a shot.
Bon appetit.
We're going in.
It is so good.
Yeah.
It is really good.
You think that this could maybe help you out with your breakfast cravings a little bit, your egg cravings?
You've definitely done it.
And even people that are a little hesitant, they say tofu's gross, tofu's disgusting. I mean, do you think that this would fit the bill?
Oh, this is great.
Awesome.
It's fantastic.
All right. We also have to try the pizza. So it's some arugula pizza with fresh lemon juice and a basil tofu ricotta, which is good too.
This is heavenly. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that, it is fantastic.
And you know what's great about this is it was really easy. We showed all the steps along the way. It was really inexpensive. We used local products. So this is not something, you don't have to live in a big city, you don't have to have a big budget. Anybody can do this, and it's gonna be delicious, and you're gonna love it, and your friends are gonna love it, so make sure you invite your friends over. And come back next time as we do another episode of Save the Kales, making the world a kinder place, one recipe at a time. Thanks for joining us, guys.